DT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcall.dt. I hope you're all having yourselves a tremendous morning this morning and making the most out of your day and out of your week. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is here with you live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, we are here with you on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on the homepage of WakeUpCallDT.com, where the MixLR live internet radio feed is embedded worldwide. And of course, you can go to MixLR directly at MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. So thank you so much for being here with us today and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I truly appreciate you, and thank you so much for connecting with the show, however you're connecting with the broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside these Cafe Kubal studios, Cafe Kubal has locations all throughout Central New York for you, and you can get to them by going to 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, and 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, as well as on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So make sure you make your way out to Cafe Kubal today and fill your cup with whatever your favorites are. And if you've never been there before, well, it's an awesome opportunity to figure out what your favorite is. From their coffees to their teas and chais and all of their sandwiches and their foods, their breakfast, and of course all of their snacks, their cold brew that you could take with you, grab and go. There's so many different things that are there from Cafe Kubal, and just how they put things together and everything they make and making it in-house and having their coffee and everything just created right here with us is truly a remarkable thing. And, you know, Matt Goddard, the owner and operator of Cafe Kubal, he started this all in his parents' basement. And it turned into something that is so tangible and so real and so much a part of some people's every day and every week. So thank you to Cafe Kubal for what you do, and thank you for being different. Thank you for all the work you put in, Matt, and thank you to the entire crew over at Cafe Kubal who navigated through this really tough past year together, and to everybody who supported them to help make it be possible that Cafe Kubal is here with us today, because, you know, it takes a village. It really does take a village to raise anything, and it takes a village when we've been through everything we've been through this year. So my props to everybody that supports local and everybody that does what they can for our community of Central and Upstate New York. And a shout out to Cafe Kubal for everything that they do right back. So thank you so much for that. With that being stated, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', today's broadcast, A Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, is going to be featuring two awesome guests today, and of course our ingredients to success that we do every single week on Tuesdays at 10:50 a.m. Eastern Time, or right around that time. So I'm very excited about the opportunity that I have this morning to be able to bring to you Corey Taylor II. Corey Taylor is going to be joining us in just a few minutes at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Corey Taylor will be joining us to speak on his time at Tulsa. He's been on the show before, and happy to have him back again. He'll be speaking on his time at Tulsa, what it taught him, what he took away from being there, the coaching staff and everything, and how it's prepared him. We'll talk about Pro Day at Tulsa and his step forward into the NFL. He's a 2021 NFL Draft running back prospect, and so he'll be telling us why the NFL should take a chance on him. And no matter who you're a fan of in the NFL, if you don't have a favorite team, or if you do, 32 NFL franchises may be listening this morning to find out exactly who Corey Taylor II is. And so to all the fans of each of those, it's great for you, whether you know him or not, to get to know him, because he may be running the ball for your favorite team coming up this season or sometime very soon. So Corey Taylor II will be joining us at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time out of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane in the American Athletic Conference to speak with us on Pro Day, to speak with us on such an interesting year, everything he learned, everything he's been through, and moving forward into the NFL and what he brings to the NFL. So very excited to have the opportunity to speak with Corey in just a few minutes at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time. And then in hour number 2 at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we will have on Wake Up Call the exclusive first interview with Luke Sutherland since joining the Moyne College Dolphins. The exclusive first interview. We are the first to speak with Luke Sutherland, which means the world to me. And he's allowed me to be a part of so many great things, and obviously a part of that championship run allowed me to feel like I was part of the family. They all did at West Genesee, and I truly cannot thank them enough, and I appreciate them so much for that. And Luke Sutherland joining me today with the exclusive first interview as we talk about his move to the Moyne College Dolphins. This is his first conversation since posting that he has committed to the Dolphins, coming from the Siena Saints and then the Bryant Bulldogs, and now a part of the Moyne College Dolphins men's basketball team, Division II in the Northeast 10, and he will have 3 years to give to them on the court, which is awesome. So Luke Sutherland joining us today for a special exclusive, which I can't wait to share with you, and always excited to have Luke on the show. And then we'll get into the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, and appreciate Avicolli's so very much. So a lot of great stuff coming up here today where sports truly meets that thing called life, and a lot of great conversations coming up this week, which I'm very, very excited to have, and I'm just very, very much looking forward to this and everything that is to come here on Wake Up Call this week and for this month. So thank you for tuning in. And before we get into Corey Taylor, we have the opportunity to, obviously spend a little bit of time looking around the sports world. And this is kind of surreal to me, and I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow with Mike Sofka, as we do every Wednesday inside of our special Fantasy Football Power Hour, the Fantasy Football Power Hour, and having the opportunity to speak with Mike Sofka every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. So I know we'll talk about this, but I wanted to just make a note here because it just happened here. Julian Edelman, at the age of 34 years old, is retiring. 12 years in the NFL. 12 years in the NFL. Started when he was 22. Crazy that at 34 years old, he's a year younger than me, and at 34 years old that he's announcing his retirement. I couldn't picture him on a team without Tom Brady, and the fact that he decided to stay in New England after Tom left, I was just totally surprised. And, the specifics of that and why, and, why he didn't follow as Rob Gronkowski and, did and whatnot. I always thought it was strange to see him in the NFL if he's not on the same team as Tom Brady. And now, he did it for a season, and now he's retiring. So, 3 Super Bowl championships and was an MVP of Super Bowl 53. And, just an incredible career for somebody who I think a lot of people maybe, didn't give credit to where credit is due. So, Julian Edelman, a special piece, an incredible piece to Tom Brady. Tom Brady had Wes Welker, and then he had Julian Edelman, that guy that would catch the pass over the middle and catch those short passes and go after the yak and just do whatever he possibly could. Julian Edelman with one of the toughest catches ever in the history of the NFL when they went up against the Atlanta Falcons, and he reaches out and he catches the ball with helmets and 2 defenders colliding, and he somehow catches the ball above the ground and holds it in. Just one of the greatest catches that I've ever seen. And he said, quote, "It was a hard decision, but the right decision for me and my family. And I'm honored and I'm proud to be retiring a Patriot. It's been the best 12 years of my life," end quote. He'll turn 35 in May, so not too much younger than me, less than a year younger than me. And he was limited to 6 games last season because of a chronic knee injury. So he ends his career with the Patriots, second in NFL history with 118 postseason receptions behind Jerry Rice's 151. Let me say that again. Julian Edelman, at the age of 34, retires from the NFL with 3 Super Bowl rings, a Super Bowl MVP, and he has the second most career postseason receptions in the history of the NFL. Not the Patriots, in the history of the entire NFL, behind only Jerry Rice. 151 for Jerry, 118 for Julian Edelman. That's insane. But when you got Tom Brady throwing to you, and you're all about, he's about those checkdowns and whatnot, and Julian can make something out of nothing, makes sense. You get a lot of receptions. When, you're one of those guys that Brady trusts, you're going to get a lot of those short yardage passes too, and be able to take off and do your thing with them. So the diving catch that we got to see in Super Bowl 51 is the one I was talking about, and, defeating the Atlanta Falcons in there. I mean, just absolutely amazing. He got in Super Bowl 53 the MVP after reeling in 10 catches for 141 yards in that game. So, Tom Brady, I got to see what he said last night. He said, quote, "On the biggest stage and in the biggest moments, you always came through. You never lost that chip on your shoulder, and you never let anyone define you as a person or a player. I'm proud of you, Jules. Love you." End quote. So, and let's get rid of the love you. Let's put the I back in it. Let's make it more personal, okay? It's just a thing for me. I don't like the love you. I love you, okay? Who loves you when you write love you? Anybody? So, say I. That's not just to Tom. That's to all of us. So, but we'll talk about this obviously more at length tomorrow during the Fantasy Football Power Hour. But I just wanted to make a note because I saw it last night, and I feel like it's important to state that, I appreciate everything you did, Julian, and I hope the best for you and your family moving forward, and obviously your health and your knee and everything. So God bless to you. No stress, and continue to do your best, as I always say here on the show. Much blessings to you, and I know that you have meant so much to the Patriots, and I'm sure so much to your teammates and to all of your loved ones. And I hope that, at 34 years old, you're passionate about and what you love, and you continue to just live out your life in the happiest of ways. It's so weird to talk about retirement at 34 years old, but you earned that. And now I hope that the next chapter of your life is filled with just as good, hopefully even better things. With that being said, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll be here with Corey Taylor II as he comes to us from the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, fresh off of his time at Pro Day, and he'll tell us about his experience, what he took away from it, how his numbers were, and so much more as he gets set to join an NFL team in this year's 2021 NFL Draft. We'll be talking with Corey right after this, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you so much for being here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and for trusting that what we do here is different and that it should be a part of your morning. Or, if you're listening back or watching back, your afternoon and your everyday. Thank you so much for making us a part of your life. We appreciate you, and we won't let you down.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and we're hanging out here with Corey Taylor II. Corey Taylor coming to us from the Tulsa Golden Hurricane and into this year's 2021 NFL Draft, and very happy to have him back on the broadcast. He's no stranger to the show. Neither is Tulsa being spoken about here, and so we have a lot to get into, a lot to unpack, as you are also watching here on Facebook Live on facebook.com/live-now-DT and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So let's bring in the man of the hour. Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, and Corey, you and I were talking about it, a little bit off the air and whatnot. What is your, kind of assessment of, Pro Day? Pro Day, first, we'll get into this season and the uniqueness and everything in just a little bit, but, how was Pro Day in your opinion? How did things go? Because, obviously in a lot of places, the media was not allowed to really see anything. So how did it go in your opinion?
Yeah, I think Pro Day went extremely well. And I think all the guys performed well. We had Zaven out there, obviously, who helped attract all 32 teams and keep them here, keep them there the whole time. Everybody wants to see that top-round guy. I think Zach did an amazing job. He had some really nice throws out there, as well as Manny Bunch, one of the guys who you're probably familiar with, who's an alumni from here and played with all of us a year ago. But overall, yeah, Pro Day went really well. Great showing, and we really got out there and got after it and got the chance to show what Tulsa football was all about.
And for your brothers to get out there and show what they can do as well, and you to be out there with, family, essentially. What was that experience like for you, knowing that, obviously your time at Tulsa is done, and you're stepping forward into this next chapter, to be out there with Zach and Zaven and everybody else on the squad, whether they were competing or just there to support? What did it mean to you to have, just one more time with each of them?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge moment. You look forward to these days. I remember going to pro days for the last couple of years, just watching the seniors and the older guys and the guys who I looked up to go out and be able to perform. And I wanted to perform, support them as best as I could. Now being on the other side of that, when everyone's cheering you on and they know how big of an opportunity this is, but at the same time, kind of this moment where everything you want to happen really has the opportunity to come together and work in your favor. It was just extremely special, and it was really grateful to my teammates for being out there and supporting and showing me the type of love that they did, and they brought so much energy. It really reminded me of being out there with them on Saturdays, and yeah, it's special.
And to see that, like you said, you've been there before in support, and now, you were somebody that was on the field. Bring me into that, surreal part of it for you, that you were there supporting your brothers over the last couple seasons, and now, it was them supporting you, just what that was like to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, it's like everything in life comes full circle, and it kind of reminds me of during the season every year we all every senior and every older guy gets a chance to stand up and do a senior speech. I remember watching those since I was freshman, and this year blew my mind when it was my turn. I'm like, man, it's finally here. Like, this is the last time that, I'm going to be on the field with these guys. So having that full circle moment was amazing. The other amazing part was that we even had some guys who I watched in their pro day come back and support. And that was awesome because it was like, not only did, I support you 2 or 3 years ago, but now you're coming back and supporting me. And I think it's the true embodiment of what TU Athletics is about, and it's a family. And that is a big blessing.
Speaking here with Corey Taylor II, hanging out on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Corey, you talked about your senior speech. It was something that, you finally had to do. What were the main points that you wanted to make in that? What do you remember from your speech?
The main points I remember from my speech is that, football is just a bonus of what we get to do. Like, it's what we can all come to do to kind of get away and to perfect our craft and have something that's kind of outside of, real life. But the bonds that you build aren't just for on the football field. They're for life and your weddings and your ups and your downs. And the biggest point of emphasis that I had wanted to place was to never forget that, to continue to hold on to that, and really press into relationships with everyone on your team, not just a select few of people, but, pressing into every area of relationships. And that's something that I learned along my journey that I wanted to, give to the younger guys who were just coming in. Like, you really want to press into as many relationships as you can. And you just don't know. There's so many things that young guys or just people in general, all people go through that if you don't actually press into a relationship that you may not know. So I wanted to make sure that I imparted that into my teammates who hadn't, really began to press into that just with the view of hindsight is 2020. So I wanted to impress that upon them. And then lastly, and the biggest point was that, there are so many things that you're going to face as an athlete side of that, just with the view of hindsight is challenge you. Like, there's a mental aspect of the game that challenges you. And then there's a physical, and a very emotional part was that everything that challenges you. There are so many things, and I encourage that you're going to face be grounded as an athlete in their faith and know that their identity comes from their faith and not the performance on the field. And for me, that's the life goal, to spread that message of the importance of your faith. And I was happy to be able to, share that part of what I feel like has helped, ground me through this whole process with him.
And I love what you just said. Be grounded in your faith and know your identity comes from your faith. Just to go a little bit deeper into that, Corey, I mean, you and I got to speak during this season, and, I reached out to you after that, and it was kind of an immediate bond. I don't believe that God does anything by accident. I don't believe he brings any people together by accident by any stretch of the imagination. And there's things that you say that just move me, that really have to do with something going on in my life, currently, or just the way that I feel in general. And a lot of things that you just stated were very, I don't know, you just take them out, put them on a sticky note, and leave them there for you on your mirror when you need help. But one of those big things was be grounded in your faith and know your identity comes from your faith. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for me, I actually grew up in the church. My parents were pastors, and I got to see, life from kind of all angles and all perspective. And I find that the people I was, most attracted to their lifestyle and, the people who were the happiest had this kind of indestructible joy. They were the people who were rooted in their faith. And I wanted that. And in college, I got the chance to explore that to, a different degree and a new level, and not just latching off of the faith of my parents, but I really got to build my own. And as I began to build my own, I began to, encourage others to do the same, because it's been very life-changing for me. One thing that, kind of even through this process that I've been leaning on, this one scripture, it talks about how even a young lion sometimes goes hungry, but those whose trust is in the Lord will lack no good thing. It's like, I love the fact that it already tells you what you are. You're a lion, which means you're a leader. You're all these things. You're the king of the jungle. But if our faith is in the Lord, then, yeah, you can be those things, but it implies that there will be some lack. Like, you will go hungry, but if our faith is in the Lord, then we can lack no good thing. That means my faith is in him. All good things are happening for my good. So, that's what I've been leaning on. That's something that I've been encouraging people in general, guys, all people go through. That's just where I am with my faith right now. It implies that there will be some lack, like you will go hungry.
I think like you said, even a young lion goes hungry. There's
are happening
the patience factor, right? Nobody has patience anymore. We live in Adrian Autry, Syracuse associate head coach, and a good friend of mine. He said to me last week, we live in a microwave society.
I think, like you said,
and Mike Sufko, who's with us every Wednesday for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, we talk about
patience.
He brings it up all the time. It's standing in front of a microwave for a minute.
We live in Adrian Autry, Syracuse associate head coach, and
patience.
And a good friend of mine, he said to me last week, we live in a microwave
all over the
society.
world. In this pandemic,
and
we've had to have
Mike Sofka,
patience.
who's with us every Wednesday for
with
the
NFL draft
Power Hour,
we
talk
about
you're
going to have
he brings it up all the time.
Going through the
standing
process,
in front of a microwave for a minute,
patience.
and that minute's
and when
too
you were
long.
at Tulsa and trying to find where you fit and getting on the field and whatnot, you had to have patience. And it seems
so
like a lost art,
student
but
athletes
that,
all over the world,
even
in this pandemic,
young
we've had to
lion
have
goes hungry
patience.
sometimes. But if they have
with the
their
NFL
faith
draft
in the Lord,
and
they're
hearing your
eventually
name called,
fed.
you're going to have
Speak on that.
patience.
The fact
going
that
through the process, you're going to have
if
to
you
have
are patient
patience. And when you were at Tulsa and trying to find where you
do
fit
eat
and getting on the field and whatnot,
and
you had to have
sometimes
patience.
God's just preparing
a
meal
like
for
a lost
you,
art,
like any parent would.
Even
and I know you want to pick at it. Now you know you want to eat those M&Ms and you want to do this and that. But if you're just patient enough to wait for that meal to be cooked, when you finally get to sit at the table, it's worth it.
And vigilant, you do eat. And sometimes God's just preparing a meal for you, like any parent would. And I know you want to pick at it. Now you know you want to eat those M&Ms and you want to do this and that. But if you're just patient enough to wait for that meal to be cooked, when you finally get to sit at the table, it's worth it.
Well, I can speak for myself for sure. I didn't think it's more than worth it. And the fact that we were able to make it through as many games as we did, we played in 9 games. There was a time that is COVID had really hit incredible, even testimony in itself. None of us took a lot of patience. I can speak for myself for sure. I actually did have numerous games. I think it was 4 games. The fact that we were able to make it through as many games as we did. We played in 9 games without playing, and then eventually we would get our chance to incredible play. And incredible. Then you look at testimony and it's kind of the rewards. That took a lot of patience because at the beginning of the season, no doubt by the actually did have numerous games. I think it was 4 games. I went for the off season back to back almost. I could tell that we came back sitting out weeks this year without playing, and we also eventually we would get our chance proud of this year to play, and we can hang our hat on making it all the way to the conference championship. And then competing at the highest level that our conference has, no doubt by the and then going to a bowl game and competing as well. I worked for in the off season. I think that right there, you can tell that we came back speaks volumes about patience. And we've been patient, and the seniors on this team have been patient. We can hang our hat on making it all the way to the conference championship and becoming better leaders and adapting to that our different situations, and then going to a bowl game. Now we're here. Now we have the highest hopes for the guys who that right there, can continue out that course speaks volumes about patience. Who came back to return another year because I know that the benefits that the seniors are going to reap patient is going to be continuously growing and learning. I'm super excited becoming better leaders and adapting next year. Different situations. The important piece is that now we're here. Now only patience is the key to all of it. For the guys who
and having that patience, having that, like, you see something, it's good, but you have to wait for it, right? Like, you see the bag of popcorn, you really want to eat it, but you gotta let it pop, and you gotta let things marinate. You gotta let. I mean, it's kind of like Yeah. I mean, I feel like life sometimes is and it's not even as simple as popcorn. Usually it's not. It's like making brisket.
It's good.
It's like, hey, I really want to eat brisket. Well, do you have a day to cook it? You know what I mean? So, I mean,
eat it.
You're just kind of putting it all in. And as you get ready for the NFL draft, speaking of Corey Taylor II out of Tulsa, running back going into the 2021 NFL draft,
I feel like life sometimes is, and it's not even as simple as popcorn. Usually it's not. It's like making brisket. It's like, hey, I really want to eat brisket. Well, do you have a day to cook it? You know what I mean? So, I mean,
creating this brisket,
you're just kind of putting it all in,
building your career,
and as you get ready for the NFL draft,
all this time,
Corey Taylor,
bring me into the layers
running back going into the 2021
kind of learned about yourself over the years that are
Dan
making
Tortora
you
inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios.
Viable running back.
Bring me
in
into
the NFL
those layers
in a human
as you
being
have
in society. What are the pieces that you put together as you were creating your dish, so to speak? What were those ingredients to success?
Bring me into
that
the
you've
layers
been working on to bring you to where you are today.
Kind of learned about yourself over the years that are making you a viable running back in the NFL and a human being in society. What are the pieces that you put together as you were creating this dish, so to speak? What were those ingredients to success that you've been working on to bring you to where you are today?
When I think about what got me from high school to actually end up eventually coming to University of Tulsa, and now I think about what's going to make me successful in my personal experience in this draft process. I think it's something pretty similar process that got me to where I'm at. And I think that's a big mistake. When I think about what got me from high school to actually end up eventually coming to the University of Tulsa, and now I think about what's going to make me successful is determination in this draft process. I think it's, you have to show up to work every day and be prepared to outwork everyone else. And at the point where you've been to outwork everyone else, you're going to have to also outwork yourself. And for football and for athletes, that looks a lot different than just, only being in a weight room. You got to outwork people in the film room. You need to sit in there and see what other nuggets that you can find within that film in order to be able to give you an edge. You have to study yourself as a player, and you have to condition yourself mentally. I think another key piece of that is becoming a leader on the field and off the field. And I touched on it earlier with relationships. Like, you have to be invested in your teammates and the people within your organization, inside and outside of football, inside and outside of whatever sport you play. With those couple of things, I believe that I have an opportunity to be successful in the league. And that is my prayer. And I'm going to hold on to those parts, those fundamentals of the process that I've been through as I take this next step, and believe and have the faith that, it's gotten me here and it'll continue to take me further.
That coming here from Corey Taylor II. Corey, let's go back into Pro Day and, what you took away from it. Like you said, all 32 teams were there. Bring me into your experience of Pro Day. What you really thought were, the big parts, be it, one of the drills you felt like you did well, a conversation, something. I mean, we'll break it down and get in a little bit deeper, but I kind of want to broad scope it here in the sense of wherever you'd like to take it. What was your Pro Day like, and what were the meaningful pieces?
Yeah, my Pro Day was an awesome opportunity for me to be able to show, my versatility, to be able to show a couple of different aspects and elements of my game that, may not have been shown to the fullest on my tape. With that, I got the chance to run routes and catch the ball in the backfield. And that was a huge piece of my game. Obviously, the league is an evolving game, and that a lot of running backs, you have to also be able to catch a lot. So that was a huge piece of my game that kind of had this question mark on it that I needed to, instead of a question mark, put a period at the end of that. And an exclamation point to let people know, okay, well, this guy can catch out of the backfield. He can be used for multiple things, at this next level. The other piece of that was, speed. I was able to show my explosiveness and, my short distance cutting ability. And that came from my start on my 40 and being able to go through position drills and cutting off of bags, and being able to show my low center of gravity and ability to change direction quickly. So those were some of the things that were really important for me to emphasize on Pro Day, and I was blessed to be able to, do those things really well. I got a lot of great feedback and from teams and scouts that were there, and I feel like it definitely worked towards my benefit.
And, with all 32 teams being there, what was that like? How many teams did you get to talk to, and did you get to do like a full interview, more of just kind of a shake hands, meet and greet? Bring me into what it was like, because that part of it where, it's the part that nobody talks about, but I think it's the most important part is, because it's all about relationships in any sector of life. I mean, in any level, in any piece of life. It's about people want to work with people that they like being around. They want to work with people that they want to work with. So, what was that part like? Did you get to interview? Did you get to sit down? Did you get to spend a lot of time with a few teams? Did you get to shake hands with everybody? What was that like?
Yeah, so, in the previous years, I think they did kind of, hang back and do things with different athletes. I don't know. I think it's kind of different this year just due to COVID.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I did get the opportunity to shake a lot of hands and meet a lot of people, and kind of reestablish relationships, or, touch back at a point of basis with some of the teams that I had already spoken to, traveling around, going to the senior games that I played in. So it was a good opportunity to reconnect and to see faces and be able to do something, in person. But yeah, it was an awesome experience. I mean, they were all, super nice and accommodating and wanting the day to go as well for all of us as possible. So that went a long way, and they made the process for me, much easier, because you kind of never know what you're going to get on Pro Day. Because you're at the mercy of the scouts. You're at the mercy of what they want to see from you. Like, I prepared to do the set list of drills, knowing that they would most likely be modified, and that, if it wasn't the Tulsa personnel conducting those drills, that there was a chance that everybody kind of has a different way of doing things. And so when I began to perform my position drills, it was actually, we didn't do much of anything that, I had exactly prepared for, in the sense of, like, they weren't the specific drills, but it's the name of the game. What I learned here at Tulsa, and what I learned all my life, is adaptation and being able to go out and perform. And that's what you need to do, be able to do at the next level. So I was happy to be able to showcase that. And for the scouts to help walk me through that, that was a blessing.
And you talked about playing, in bowls and whatnot, and doing things, outside of Pro Day to showcase yourself. You and quarterback Zach Smith got to be in the Hula Bowl in Hawaii, and bring me into that. I mean, first and foremost, can broadcasters be a part of it, is what I want to know in the future, because, any excuse to go to Hawaii, where I've never been, but that to me is incredible. You get that, and it's like, hey, here's an extra opportunity to showcase yourself. By the way, it's in Hawaii. So, go to paradise and have a good time with it. Bring me into that, the Hula Bowl All-Star Football Classic game, and being there with teammate Zach Smith.
Yeah, so, man, first, I had never been to Hawaii, so it was something that I always wanted to do. And when I got the opportunity and the invite to come, I was like, man, this is like the best of all worlds. Not just both worlds, but all worlds, because I get the chance to go vacation and to do what I love, and do it at a high level in front of, organizations that have the ability to change my life, and to pick me up on draft day. So that was really awesome. Got to see a lot of great sights in Hawaii. Got to go to the beach. They put us in an amazing resort that was super comfortable, and we got to, get a little bit of that Hawaiian culture. And then being able to go out and perform. I mean, we got the chance to be coached by some great coaches and get to see what that next level coaching will really be like. We got the chance to be in more NFL-based schemes. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I got a lot of nuggets from it that I continue to implement in my game, so that when I get to training camp and mini camp, that I'll be able to stand out, and those will kind of be points I have as an edge. But yeah, it was awesome also being there with Zach. Actually, I was in my room on the first day working out, and Zach's flight got delayed, and we both flew out of Dallas, but I flew out of Fort Worth, and he flew out of Love Field. So his flight was delayed, and you don't know who your roommate is until you get there. So I was in my room working out on the first night, kind of, body maintenance and helping open back up my hips after being on such a long flight and all these different things. And here walks in Zach out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, man, this is crazy. So it was awesome because we were also roommates here at Tulsa. Being able to have that last experience together as well was super awesome. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and we're going to remember it forever.
Having him as a teammate, having him as your quarterback, having him as a roommate at Tulsa, and then a roommate at the Hula Bowl, again, we talk about faith, and I don't believe in coincidences. I call, purposeful things that I believe God does, I call them God incidences, and I know I can't copyright that. I know other people say it, but it's something that I really take to heart, that I just really don't believe that there's coincidences. So to have him in the offense with you, to have him as your quarterback, to have him as a roommate at Tulsa and at, this Hula Bowl, just what you could say about that, the fact that, for at least from my perspective and bird's eye view, God was kind of giving you a sense of peace, a sense of familiarity, and, that connection that wherever you go, there's somebody's always with you in a sense. And I feel like, I don't know, at least from how I see it, that it was almost like, hey, if you have any nerves, any jitters or anything like that, like, I want to take those all out and give you, one more ride with your teammate and your brother. I mean, do you get a sense for that?
Yeah, most definitely. I think, and me and Zach got the opportunity, as roommates and as leaders on the team, to really have so many conversations about the trajectory that we wanted the team to go on. So, those conversations kind of just morphed into the trajectory that we hope to be on and to stay on. And to see that we were still in this together. When you get into this draft process, it's kind of an individualized process for each person, but for us to be there together at the same time in the same room, having the same encounter with the same coach, and it was like, man, we are really still in this together. And that was definitely a blessing. Zach is a great guy. He's a great leader. And he's somebody who always is helping to push the envelope, as far as his game. I think he's always elevating his game, and I think that elevates others around him. And, he's done a lot for this team and for this university. So us being able to be there together was an awesome opportunity to kind of make everything come together in this really exciting moment as we were in Hawaii playing the last game in Aloha Stadium, and playing and applying for jobs, really. So,
yeah, an incredible story. What did you take? I mean, I got to live vicariously through you. Did you get to do anything in Hawaii outside of play the game? How did you experience it? What was it like? And again, as a broadcaster, I mean, I don't even care if I'm like Yoda on a backpack or something like that. The next time that you go to Hawaii, can you just kind of like, I don't know, utilize me as a carry-on the plane or something like that?
Man, look, I feel the same way. I'm like, I got to get back to Hawaii as soon as possible. Because, like you said, we did get the opportunity to do some really cool things. I mean, we got the chance to see a lot of culture, Now, to be honest, our schedule was really packed with a lot of football, which is why we were there. But we did get the chance to get out for a little bit, and we got the chance to hang out with a couple of just some of the locals around, play sand and beach volleyball. And then we got the opportunity to also kind of walk up and down that main strip, which is a little touristy. But if you go just a couple blocks off that strip, then you'll get the chance to be, submerged in some real culture and eating great food and all those sorts of things. So I got the chance to do that with my teammates. Me and Zach did a lot of that together. We were out eating together every day because we're like, look, we're in Hawaii. What else would we do,
Yeah.
It's time to go out and eat some great food. And so that's what we did. We did that a lot, and it was a lot of fun.
What's the best food you had? Tell me about the menu that you guys had.
Man, one of the best things that I had from Hawaii, I'm a big burger guy, and anybody who knows me knows that I consume burgers extremely often. Extremely often. And one of the burgers that we had, it was like
We have Rex Trowbridge, Roosevelt Bowie Jr., Sonny Spira, Dale Shackelford, Brandon Reese, as well as Gene Lee, Gene Wall.
Taste it. Like, it was juicy. It has so much flavor, and it had this special sauce on it. I'm not going to lie. I was there for probably 4 days. I can't remember exactly, but I do remember that I ate this burger every single day that I was there. And on one of the days, I ate it twice. So that was like really one of the best things I had.
And that's one of the, and I feel better now, Corey, that you said that. I mean, listen, I was going to be okay with it no matter what because it's my life, but it makes me feel good that there's like an echo of it where, I've done that before where I get food and I really, really like it for lunch, and then I go get it again for dinner. And I'm like, should I feel bad that I just bought the same food twice? Like, I literally got the same thing twice. And I'm like, no, man, it's my life. It's what my stomach wanted. So I'm very excited to hear you say that you did that because I very, very much so. I have done that before, and I had that conversation in my brain this past week of, well, what I had for lunch was really good. I kind of want to go back and get it again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. There is definitely no shame in the game. If you love something, continue to eat it as long as you can manage it, with your nutrition, as long as it's healthy. I'm all for it because even here in Tulsa, I have a couple places that I constantly frequent, and they know who I am because you can bet on Wednesday at 4:30 to 6:30, I'm going to be at this certain place. And then for lunch on Tuesdays, I'm going to be at this certain place. I've always been that way. I'm a foodie. I love food. So.
And what are some of the spots in Tulsa, Oklahoma? You don't have to give me all the secrets and whatnot, but a few of the places that I should go to in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Man, so if you want some great barbecue, one of the places that I love is Burnco. Burnco has amazing barbecue.
Okay.
If I want to go and get a little bit of soul food, Sweet Lisa's is always at the top of that list. It is absolutely amazing. Just make sure that you have a pillow and a blanket because after you're definitely going to get some sleep. One of my favorite burger places in Tulsa is called The Society, and I feel like they have, there's a tier of milkshakes, right? Like there's like 3 tiers. If you want a great milkshake and you want to be on that top tier, you have to go to The Society. Like it's just way up there.
Okay.
And I could continue to go on. There's a lot of great places, and then there's Ruth's Chris. Now Ruth's Chris is kind of known as this expensive restaurant. Like, if you're going there, it has to be kind of for a special occasion, especially as a college student on a budget, right? Like we're on a budget here. Like let's not forget that. But they have an amazing happy hour to where meals range between $9 and $13.
Okay.
Which on a normal day would be 2-3 times as much. And I go there and I grab the steak sandwich, I grab the shrimp, I grab the burger, and the crab cakes. every week. So there's a lot of great places here in Tulsa to eat, and that's just a couple.
I like that, man. Dude, I'm super hungry sitting here in the studio right now, and this is ridiculous. I'm sitting here like, man, I can't have any of this stuff today. I'm not in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but you have been in Tulsa for a while. You're heading off to the NFL. Here with Corey Taylor II inside the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. NFL team listening right now, they hear your voice. They say, Corey, why am I taking you? I have this running back, or I have that, I have this situation. Whatever it may be, they tell you, listen, I'm thinking about picking you. Why do I do it? What do you say?
You know, for me, the biggest thing, the way that I've always ran, is that I'm the guy who's going to get you the couple of extra yards. And sometimes those yards might even seem impossible.
For lunch, sure and then I go get it again for dinner.
For me, I'm the guy who goes and gets you the extra yards. That I'm the guy who is that I'm the guy who's going to get you the couple of extra yards. And sometimes those yards might even seem impossible. Make sure that, I'm protecting the quarterback, do the best priority. And I think those are some of the immediate things that stand out about me, besides the fact that, I have great contact balance, low center of gravity, and it's never going to be just one guy bringing me down. And, other than that, there are things that I'm more excited to showcase in this upcoming season. And as I get into camp, speed, that's something I've worked on in the off season, and not just the initial burst, but being able to carry that out a little bit. To make sure that I'll be able to go the distance and then catching out of the backfield. That's something that I've also been working on. So I think all those things, those are kind of the tangibles, but the intangibles is you're going to get a great leader in your locker room, a guy who is a man of faith, a guy who keeps head clean and nose clean, head down and nose clean. And I'm going to continue to work to the best of my ability to be the best that I can be and make sure that I am being the best teammate that I can be and pushing the organization forward in whatever way I can.
I appreciate that, and it's an awesome answer. And before I let you go, Corey, I have a few questions that I would ask if I was a GM of an NFL team. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. First one, who is the greatest inspiration of your life and why?
Man, I think, from a spiritual standpoint, I think that person is that kind of top spot is always taken, and that's Jesus. Just thinking about the amount of sacrifice, I think it's a perfect model and blueprint for the way that we should live our lives, and that is that is how I model my life. That is what I aspire and to be, and hopefully by my journey and my process, I can inspire others to do the same. So that is my inspiration. And then obviously, outside of that second tier really takes the shape of my family. My family has sacrificed so much for me to be in the position that I'm in. It's not been easy by no means, but they've continued to believe in me. They've continued to have faith in God and my process and what that looks like. And I'm super blessed to have them, and they continuously inspire me to be better and to do better each and every single day.
I love that answer. I love that you said Jesus first, because, if you're trying to aspire and model your life as Jesus, wherever you fall trying to go that high, it truly is something that's great. If you go after trying to be the best of the best, and that's perfection, we're never going to be perfect, but if you work toward that, then only good things come. My next one for you as an NFL general manager, when was the last time you helped someone and what did you do?
Man, I kind of make it a point to help people every day, and not as something I think about, because when you ask me that question, it's like, okay, in which way did I help someone? And I think the thing that I take most pride in is helping people is kind of how I live my life, so it's embedded in there. And I think, even yesterday, I loaned my car out, and the other thing is I helped pump gas for someone. Now, those might, the pumping gas might seem like a small thing. That's something that, I feel like is a small thing that can go a long way. Like, there are days that I don't want to get out the car and pump my gas, right? And I just want to hurry up and get home. So I think, those small things, and those detailed things are things that I constantly try and, place emphasis on within my life, everyday life. And those are two small things that I've done yesterday, including giving away some software, including, some other things. But for me, it's the everyday things that matter, and the things I do every day is things like pump people's gas and, buy somebody a drink and try and impart those small nuggets into their life of, happiness and joy. So, yeah.
I love that, and I appreciate that, and it goes such a long way. And some people have no idea, but if somebody pumped my gas or got me a drink, I would remember that forever. Critical turning point in your life.
Critical turning point in my life. Critical turning point, getting injured my sophomore year here, breaking my foot. That was an opportunity for me to really decide who I was going to be and who I wanted to become. That was definitely a huge turning point. And then I think back to, just times where life became extra real for me, and that was losing both of my grandmas. And those were turning points in my life because those were both moments that I vowed to myself. I was going to take things to the next level. I was going to be the best that I could be, and that I was going to make sure to honor their legacies. And in those moments that I remember very vividly, my life kind of changed for the better, In the worst moments, my life really changed for the better. And those were huge turning points.
I love that, and I'm sorry about the passing of your grandmothers, but knowing what I do know about you from the conversations we have, I have a feeling that you're very proud right now.
Oh, I hope so. That's my prayer.
And that actually leads me to my last question for you before we flip the script and go to rapid fire, which is, what is the first thing you pray for?
Man, the pray for is wisdom. Wisdom. If you have wisdom, then life becomes a lot more simple, because you're able to make decisions. And I think wisdom is also paired with vision. Like, when you have wisdom, then it helps you be able to have vision. And, one of my favorite pieces of advice is those without vision perish. And I'm like, I want to be around for a long time. I want to be the best that I can be. So God, give me wisdom and give me vision. That's what I pray for.
I love that. God, give me wisdom, and God, give me vision. That coming from Corey Taylor II, Tulsa Golden Hurricane alum, 2021 NFL draft prospect at the running back position. Hopefully hearing his name called very soon. Corey, it's time to, you've been great in answering all my questions. It's time to flip the script and put me in the rapid fire situation. There, as I asked you for, so I will give you the same respect. You can ask me any 4 questions in the world. They don't have to do with sports. They could do with whatever is on your mind. But I would love to hear what you have to say. And I also think, talking about the NFL process, they always say when you go to an interview that you should, whether you have a question to ask or not, you should always try to come up with a couple to ask. It always means something to the person that's interviewing you. And so in rapid fire, I flip the script and let you have that opportunity. Whenever you're ready, your first question.
No, for sure. I think my first question would be, what was the turning point in your life for, helping you become the person that you wanted to be?
I would tell you that a lot of things have pushed me to where I am today. But this past year, really last April, almost a year to the date, I went through a breakup. I felt the weight of it because a lot of it was on me not being the best that I could be. And it caused me to really have to look at my life, look at the decisions I'm making, what was bothering me, how I was letting the world kind of get to me and whatnot. So I would say that, a massive turning point in my life was last year when I made the decision that my mind has got to be in my control and I have to be in control of myself, my actions, taking care of myself. I've always tried to give good to the world, but to me, it was like I tried to feed the world's feast and I gave myself crumbs or scraps. And I think that for me it was taking the time this past year, my turning point really, to work on a healthy mind and a healthy body and to navigate through stuff because, I couldn't think clearly and things really weighed on me and I led with so much kind of wanting something to fit or wanting something to work without really seeing things for what they are. So I think, this past year has assisted in clarity. It's assisted in finding myself and who I am and who I want to be and finding peace and, not freaking out and taking a deep breath and kind of, just realizing that nothing's really that bad and you can get through it. So I would say that this entire past year has been a turning point in my life because it was when I finally decided to really take a hold of myself and make sure that, I'm doing good to build up Dan and not forget myself in this world, so to speak.
For sure. What, I don't know if we've really gotten into this before. Who is your favorite football organization?
Favorite NFL-wise, Jacksonville. I know they've been through a lot, but I really like Shad Khan. I like what he's doing. I like what he's trying to do. So I've covered I've been a fan since their institution in '95. I've covered the team for over a decade, on site, on location, in some respect for the majority of that decade. So I would say, it's Jacksonville, but it's so much more than they're my favorite team. I've really gotten to know people within the organization, and I respect them. So I think a lot of Jacksonville, and seeing them succeed is kind of like seeing my Toronto Raptors succeed. It's a team that everybody told me would never, ever make it to a championship. So them getting to hoist it, even though I'm not like physically on the team, like that would be probably a very emotional moment for me because it's a reminder that, it kind of reminds me of me and in that when people say you can't and you won't and you're not capable and you're not talented enough and, you can't do it on your own or whatever people say, there's something to be said about those moments where you just see what people told you was impossible. And I really think of them in that sense. Like that to me, they're such an embodiment of who I am in the sense of, I don't think anybody thinks they can do it, but the day that they do is going to be one of the greatest days of my life.
Most definitely. I've been following the Jaguars a lot more closely as I began to really study Fred Taylor. He is one of my favorite running backs. I love how he ran the ball. When you think about the Jaguars, I think today, especially as you approach the draft, you also have to kind of put it synonymously with Trevor Lawrence. How do you feel about that match being made?
Well, first, I love that you mentioned Fred because he is my favorite player. and easily my favorite Jaguar, but he is my favorite player. Love watching Fred. Still would love to talk to him and have that opportunity with him. So I would say definitely Fred's my guy. And then the synonymous Jaguars and number one pick, Trevor Lawrence. You know, I've covered Trevor Lawrence his entire time in college football. You know, I cover the ACC closely, and so I have covered Trevor. And the man won almost every single time in high school and almost every single time in college, and he knows what it's like to be a champion at both levels, and that all means something. But to me, it's the character, and Jacksonville has brought in really talented guys that didn't have great character. So I hope that they do better research this time around, and it's not, I really hope that they make good decisions. But I feel like Trevor Lawrence is the pick. You know, I watch. You know, I'm really Zach Wilson of BYU. I know that that's not like what everybody thinks about, but I think about that pick. I do, and I just hope that whoever they choose is the right fit for them, because they deserve. I mean, it's been they had a string of 6 years where every single pick that they picked within 6 years isn't on the team anymore, and to me that's a testament to the fact that, you know, they didn't make the right moves. And so I feel like Trevor's where they're going to go. I've said on record a bunch of times, like, just do it. It's an easy pick. I feel like it's good. But, you know, I'm also somebody who, you know, I know why I would say it's an easy pick, but I'm also very methodical. And if you've ever watched the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. And what he does and also Chadwick Boseman, you know, rest in peace. A lot of people know him from Black Panther, but he was in like a million other things, and that was one of them. And so that movie was just so different because he like followed his gut. So I think they're going to go with Trevor, and I'm okay with that. And he's won, and he has that reputation. I want a true leader, and so everybody that they choose, I just want them to do their due diligence to really find the people that maybe not everybody loves, or what I don't care if people do or they don't. What I care about is not how well known they are, but how they are going to be as a teammate and how they're going to fight and what they are in the locker room. So I just hope they make the right decisions. I'm okay with Trevor Lawrence. I'm okay with that pick, but ultimately I want, you know, every team out there to see, you know, the fight in the dog, and not so much the dog in the fight, so to speak. It's not about the size of the dog; it's about the size of the fight in the dog. And I want Jacksonville to do their due diligence, and hopefully everybody else will.
For sure. No, that's huge. Character is huge. Outside of Christ, who or what is your big inspiration?
Outside of Christ, who is my biggest inspiration? It's got to be my grandma. You know, all my grandparents, I love them all. My grandfathers both passed away when I was 6 in the same year in 1992. And that was one of the hardest moments in my life. It should have taught me that every moment is precious, but I'm still learning. And I would tell you, I mean, my other grandmother, I called her Gammy. I mean, all of my grandparents, my adopted grandfathers, Pop Pandozzi and Grandpa Bill, you know, mean the world to me. It's just something special and different with my G-Mama. You know, my mom's mom, she speaks to my heart. There's things that are going on in my life right now that are causing me to be patient and to, you know, believe that if you plant a seed, it will create a tree, and that tree will bear fruit. And, you know, I look to her, and I really honestly, in kind of having a really important conversation last night, I kind of said, like, I'm going to lean on her. Like, besides Christ, I'm gonna lean on her. I'm going to lean on what she's taught me. I'm going to lean on her positivity. I'm going to lean on her holding my hand. I'm going to lean on her kisses and her hugs and her laughs, and you know, so I think that, you know, up in heaven, she has such a big effect on me still, which I, you know, knew she would. And she's my biggest inspiration because she taught me how to love myself. She taught me how to shut out the outside noise. She taught me how to be a good person. She taught me that church is important, even if you don't agree with everything. That you should go there and learn and try to understand. She taught me how to be a good kid, and in the sense of how you treat people the way you want to be treated, and that you always help and you always reach out a hand. I mean, it's hard to not cry talking about her because every single thing in my life that I need in my toolbox to build this shed is from her. Like, she is the reason why I'm going to get through so many things in my life, and I value her so very much. So, I would say it's got to be G-Mama, because I'm looking to her right now, and I can already feel her strength, and that's a beautiful thing to me.
For sure. My last question for you. My last question is, if you were given $1 million, either tax-free or after taxes, what would be the first thing that you would do?
I was given $1 million tax-free or after taxes, so I had a true mill.
A true mill.
A true mill. I would, I thought I would tell you the first thing I would do is pay off like any debt or anything like that. That would actually be the second thing that I would do. The first thing that I would do is I would pay back my parents for every dinner and every lunch and everything that they've done. I would literally just hand them both a check and say, listen, you guys have done so much for me. Literally go buy your house that you want to buy on the beach, or go get whatever you want to do, or take this trip, or whatever. So I mean, I feel like I told my dad forever I'd take him to Italy, so that would be a part of it. I would take him to Italy. I would get my mom probably a home by the beach, and I would just literally hand them back for everything that they've done, because they give so generously. So I would say that, and then I would take care of any debt, be smart about it, put money away for kids in college, and then I would genuinely look to places that I could help where I know that the money was going to them, and I would be a part of it. But I wouldn't just give the money, I would actually physically be there. Like, I'm the type of person where if you told me, hey Dan, there's a community in Tulsa that really needs the help, they're good people, and they live in a bad part of town, or this is where tornadoes hit a lot, or this is where the government really doesn't assist, or I feel like people are being treated unfairly due to race or background or whatever that may be. If you called me and said like, I want your help, and it's a genuine like thing that we could do, I would go down there and help you. So that's just who I am. I did it in the city of New Orleans, and I feel like giving money is great, but I would have to come down and do something. If you said, hey, we're going to build, better housing for these 4 families, I would be like, okay, that's all well and good. And, I can bring money down to give toward that, or maybe I couldn't, depending on my circumstance, but I would pick up, whatever I need to pick up, and screwdriver, a hammer, or whatever that may be, and I would build those houses with you. Because, to me, there's no greater gift to give somebody than your selfless love to and even to a total stranger, and to just give them your time. So I would tell you that, New Orleans taught me a lot, and, so if there's ever a time where you're like, hey man, I really want to help, and I think we could do this together, and we figured it out, and we worked on it and whatnot, then, we would go to your spots that you gave me for food, and, get some of that food and bring it over to those families, and then we get cracking at whatever we need to do.
For sure.
So that coming from Corey Taylor II here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Our conversations always inspire me, Corey. They always go well beyond. They feed my soul in a way that I can't really describe, and in such a way this week that I really needed. So I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity and this incredible gift that you give to me. So thank you for that, and I will continue to speak with you And when your name is called and when all of that comes about by the grace of God, you'll get a phone call from me. And I look forward to keeping in touch with you all the way through. So, more than anything else that you do on the football field, I want to thank you for what you do in my life. We met on a Zoom call, and ever since then, I just feel very connected and inspired by you, and I feel that positive energy, and that can't go understated, which is why I am saying it as much as I can this morning, because you deserve to hear it, and I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak about my faith and my process.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So keep doing your thing, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Most definitely.
Take care. That coming from Corey Taylor II here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We will take a step aside, and when we come back, Luke Sutherland will be joining us with the exclusive first interview since making his decision to join the Moyne College Dolphins for the rest of his career in collegiate basketball. That's all coming up right after this.
Avicolli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code AVS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicollis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicolli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive. every time. Make sure you make your way out there today and every Tuesday through Sunday. Tuesday through Saturday, they're open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. in their indoor dining as well as their drive-through pickup and go and their general store with local products from local companies. On Sundays, all three are open inside of the Millhouse Market, giving you that indoor restaurant, that drive-through, and that general store all in one place. 3 experiences at one beautiful location on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, open on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So make sure you go there Tuesday through Sunday. They are closed on Mondays, and you can download their app by searching the Millhouse Market on the Google app or Apple App Store, the Google Play or Apple App Store, and get their information right there, and they will have everything for you so easily to navigate through, which is incredible. Their app is so easy to use, and the hardest thing that you will have on the app is trying to decide what you're going to get. With so many favorites and so many great things and creations from Rebecca and the entire team at the Millhouse Market, they are absolutely worth that drive every time. And as the weather warms up and gets better here, absolute perfect take-a-drive weather. My dad always liked to do that, to just get in the car and take a ride. Well, the next time you decide to do that, head out to the Millhouse Market. Whether it's a mile away or 20 miles away, they're absolutely worth the drive every time to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So many places to watch and listen live from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and I thank you so much for being here. It is my honor and my pleasure on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to tell stories from people all over the world. And I also get to tell stories from people that are right in my backyard of Central and Upstate New York. And one of my favorite human beings who sat in the studio with me just a little bit ago was Luke Sutherland. And not only did he sit with me in the studio, we sat a bunch of times at the Wildcat Sports Pub with our exclusive monthly West Jenny's show that we do there. And amidst all of that, we also got to be arm in arm together on the court when his team of the West Genesee Wildcats boys basketball won their first ever Class AA state title here in the state of New York. So Luke and I have a lot of memories, and I got to meet his family, which was also incredible that I got to do that down in Binghamton on this run to the state championship, and I got to spend some time with them just off the court. So one of my favorite people that I have met in this world, and we always have a good time here. It goes well beyond basketball for me, so I'm happy to bring him in on the heels of him making a decision to transfer to Moyne College to play for the Dolphins men's basketball team with 3 seasons to go. And this is the exclusive first conversation, and I am so thankful that Luke gave me that opportunity and that privilege. So let's bring the man in. Mr. Sutherland, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very well, man. And so first and foremost, for what I just said, thank you for letting me be your first interview.
Yeah, no problem. It's only right at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point I need to be like, the godparent of your first child. So make it happen. Make it happen, Luke. I know your sister's going to have something to say, but they can have more than one set of godparents. So it's fine. And your sister likes me. We're good, right? We met. I know Mom. I know Dad. We're all fine. So
you guys are in the clear.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I feel like I've passed every place that I needed to pass on the road here. Speaking of being on the road and passing a lot of stuff, after West Jenny, you went to Siena, and there was a coaching change there prior to, so you felt really good about it. You were going to Siena, and then the head coach changes, and then you kind of didn't know for a little bit, and I know that, it kind of weighed on you for a while.
You ultimately decided to go there, and then you decided to go to Bryant, and now you're coming to Lemoyne. So these last few years have seen you make a lot of changes in your world, and I want to start with Siena. Bring me back to that time period. I know we talked about it before, but you've had plenty of time to reflect on it. What ultimately made you go to Siena despite the coaching change, and what did you take away from your first season there?
I mean, definitely looking back on it, it was when making that decision, when Coach Christian left, I thought that was still going to be a place that I was going to be able to go and really develop and really have an opportunity to show what I can do at that level. So when I was headed there, I was talking to Coach Carm, I was talking to the staff there, and it seemed like a good situation, and we got there, and obviously things didn't really work out as much as I planned or what we planned as like a family, and just in going in that decision. And when we arrived there, and granted, although like getting on the floor wasn't really what we expected in terms of like what we wanted, but looking back on it, I made some of the best friends that I have. I still talk to a lot of those guys every single day, and in terms of my development, I was able to really improve my game, and I think I expanded quite a bit by going there.
What parts of your game do you feel you improved the most at Siena specifically?
I honestly think the biggest thing there was just being able to put forth, cause I'm always one of those people, I'm a worker. So I spend a lot of time in the gym. I spend a lot of time working on what I want to improve on. So just being at Siena and just able to get a lot of that time in the gym and have a lot of people to learn from, like a lot of great players. I got to learn from Jalen Pickett, Don Carey, Manny Camper, Elijah Burns, like all those guys. Like I was really able to kind of soak in a little bit of everything. So just in terms of my all-around game, like I felt like I got a better IQ. I feel like everything kind of just improved by being in that atmosphere with those players.
And I know we discussed this before, but, again, hindsight 2020, more time to think about it. Why was one season in Siena enough? You played 7 games there. Why did you feel like you had to move on to another school?
I just felt like at the time, after having conversations with the head coach and just kind of moving about that process, like it was time to try to find a better situation.
So you do that, and it leads you to Bryant. You spent 1 year with the Bryant Bulldogs this past season. Transferring during a pandemic. Bring me into that, because so unique and crazy and completely insane to have to go through something like this for any student athlete. Really, any of us that have gone through this pandemic across the world, it's just been very interesting and trying at times. So what was it like for you to make this move, not knowing, obviously, that the world was going to be completely affected by something that we weren't ready for?
It was definitely, again, like I don't know what it was like prior to it. So like I'm not really positive how much more like relaxing it was prior, but I know at least during the pandemic, especially trying to transfer, everything, I feel like the process definitely got a little bit harder, because suppose we're even when you enter, like you can't visit, you can't do this, you can't do that. So there's so many things that just before would probably be second nature in terms of visiting, meeting with coaches, and getting to see campus that you just can't do when the pandemic was going on. And even some like the paperwork stuff that you had to fill out, everything had to have been done through email or all like submitted requests that you had to print yourself and copy it and send it. So it was a whole different process, but luckily, not that we were prepared, but the system was set up to a point where it was easily able to be done. You know what I mean? So it wasn't as bad as you'd think.
And then you head off to Bryant, and obviously I got to talk to you and Charles Pride, both of you coming from Central New York. Charles coming through Liverpool, and you coming through West Jenny. And I got really, excited about the opportunity of seeing you both on the floor against Syracuse in a game where Syracuse barely beat Bryant. But we didn't get to see you on the floor. We saw Charles, and I believe he had 15 points in the game. But what was that like for you? You come back to the Dome, and there's no fans. You don't get on the court. The game's extremely close. Bring me into all your emotions and your thoughts there, because I was so happy that you were there. But obviously, I'm sure you would have liked it a heck of a lot better if you were on the floor, and obviously if there was people in the stands. So how did you take that experience?
I mean, it was cool. You know what I mean? Like, you grow up and you watch the hometown team play. So, I mean, it was definitely it was definitely an experience to be able to kind of play against them for the first time. And, it was an experience that I'll hold close to me in a sense that, you know, I got to compete against the team that I grew up watching for the most part. So, and like you said, you guys watched the game. So, I mean, it was a close game. I mean, we competed, and unfortunately we didn't come out with the win that we wanted. But, I mean, just being able to be in that situation and just kind of take it all in was definitely something cool.
Speaking here with Luke Sutherland, West Genesee grad, played boys basketball there, won a Class AA state title there, the first ever state title for boys basketball at West Genny, and has since gone on from Siena to Bryant and is now having the first interview, the exclusive first interview since his move from Bryant to Moyne. To stay with Bryant for a second here, Luke, playing with Charles Pride, what was your relationship like with Charles prior to? And I know that I talked to you guys about him kind of like recruiting you in and bringing you in. So bring me into what your relationship was like before you came to Bryant and what your relationship became once you guys got to play together.
I mean, me and Chuck, we grew up together. We played basketball with each other since we were really little, and we've been around each other growing up, and especially in the city, like all these basketball players, we've all played with each other growing up because there's not too many different teams to play for, so all of us were very familiar with each other regardless of where we grew up. But me and Chuck were lucky enough to, again, we played youth basketball together. We were lucky enough to play AAU together, and we played against each other for 4 years in high school. Like, we were extremely used to each other's games, and to be honest with you, he's one of my best friends coming out of this area, and to be able to go to a college with him and spend another year with him at this point and at that level was definitely something that we'll hold close to each other. And especially after this year, like me and Chuck, like I said, I mean, we were best friends going in, and that's exactly how we are now. And just being able to play another year of basketball with him was definitely one of our dreams as kids. So, I mean, it was awesome.
How frustrating was it to only get out there for 6 games? I mean, did you get frustrated? Did Chuck get frustrated? Because, I mean, obviously he's playing, but, you know, I mean, you guys grew up, like you said, best friends, want to play together. Did you guys both feel like, yeah, you got to practice together and be there together, but not on the floor together a lot? So did you feel cheated at all?
I wouldn't say cheated. I don't think that's the right term. And like I said, I mean, Coach Grasso there, he's an awesome guy, and Coach Telly, Coach Cole, like all those guys, they're amazing, and they're really good at what they do. And we put together a great season this year. And I wouldn't say that's the right word at all. I think I'm grateful for the opportunity. I mean, it's not every day you get to play with one of the kids that you grow up with and play at that high of a level. So again, I'm thankful for that opportunity. And yeah, I mean, it would have been great being able to get out there and play with him. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's all part of the process. You know what I mean?
And in it being part of the process, despite, you know, it not being, you know, a lot of time out there for you on the floor, what were your biggest takeaways from Bryant? The things that you feel can be beneficial to you in the future?
The beauty about playing under Coach Grasso is that he tells you exactly what you need to hear. You know what I mean? In the sense that, like, he's not going to sugarcoat anything for you. He's going to be straightforward. So, and he's one of those guys that really cares about his players, and he cares about the development. And luckily I got to play a year under him, and I really think that I got to expand my game in areas that I may have not been anywhere else. You know what I mean? So I think that was one of the biggest pieces there. I mean, in that year, I feel like I was expanding my game a lot more than I had the year prior. And I think that I'm the best version of myself now. And quite honestly, I don't think anyone's really seen the best version of me. So I'm just excited to be able to go to a place where I can showcase that ability and try to go out there and win games.
Where did you, I know you talked about where you improved your game at Siena. What did you improve at Bryant? What were some of those key elements that you feel like really did make you a better player from specifically being with the Bryant Bulldogs?
I mean, in being at Bryant, I mean, it was one of those situations where the year prior at Siena, I didn't have the ball in my hands a lot on the perimeter. It was more of me getting pushed in a position that I wasn't really ever like in that position. You know what I mean? I was playing a position that I was not used to playing. I was in a position that I wasn't really comfortable at, and just to be able to go to Brian and have the ball in my hands at different situations and really be able to extend my game and really make sure that I'm doing what I want to do at a high level, especially in that practice and in that on that team. I mean, the team was very, very good. So, I mean, just being able to touch on all those abilities against really high level talent advanced my game a lot more than you'd think.
You know, and having that advancement of your game, you take what you got from Siena, you take what you got from Bryant, you take what you got from West Genesee. What has it turned you into now, Luke? How would you describe what Moyne is getting? Give me the evolution of Luke Sutherland.
Well, I think at high school you saw a raw talent. You know what I mean? You saw someone that could do a little bit of everything and was cleaned in some areas. And especially after these 2 years in college, I think you get a lot more refined all-around player. I think that, granted that I'm working every day, I'm trying to improve on those things that I feel like I need to improve on. But again, I feel like I have yet to show the best version of myself, and I feel like this is the best I've been in my life. So I'm just, like I said, you're going to see an all-around player who works really hard and hopefully can get on that floor and make a big impact.
So you make a decision to come to Moyne. Bring me into, before you made that decision to come to Moyne, you got a waiver right before the season to play this season for Bryant, and it's a Corona year. So you made the decision to be available to play. Why did you choose to be available to play? Because I know some student athletes did and some didn't. So why did you choose to play during coronavirus? And
you're not going to get the same type of level of play. You're not going to, you just get better. And anytime that you can play, you know what I mean, at this level especially, you get better. And I think that was the biggest thing after talking with my family and the coaching staff. That was never one of those questions that was in doubt. I knew that I was going to play this year in terms of being available and just working out and really taking this year to his advantage, speaking that I'm getting it back. So it was a learning year, so to speak.
And, in this learning year and deciding to play during a pandemic, what did you learn about, athletics even more so? Because, you guys had to get tested. They obviously have to take care of you. They got to make sure that you're safe. This was a very unique year because there's so many moving parts. Syracuse had a couple starts and stops. Gonzaga had starts and stops all the way through to, being 31-0 before the championship game. So many teams had to deal with it. I talked to Mike Kitts, who's from our community and the NCAA coordinator of officiating for a lot of different conferences, including the MAC and, the MAAC and so much more. So, he said in just the MAC, they had 162 schedule changes before the end of the season or something like that. So how do you feel about how everything was handled during the pandemic? Do you feel like you were cared about as a student athlete? What did you learn? I know this is kind of a multi-layered lasagna of an answer to a question because so much happened this year, but what did you take away from the pandemic and being a student athlete during the pandemic?
I think it goes to show just how responsible we have to be as student athletes and what's exactly expected from us. We had to make good decisions on and off the court. Regardless, we do that anyway. But even more so now that you can't take those risks. And our team ourselves, we had 3 stoppages this year. So it's one of those things that was just part of the game. And being able to have the discipline to get out of these stoppages and get back to work and try to get back in the best form you can be in really shows that we put in a lot of time and effort in putting the best products we can out in the court, and especially at this level. Guys work relentlessly to allow themselves to do that, and I think that's kind of what shows the most out of this year, is that these players work really, really hard to be able to put on the best show that they can and try to get themselves to the best possible level. So I think at this point, if anything, if this COVID proved anything about college athletics, it shows just how hard that we work.
And we've seen so much about this in the starts and the stops and whatnot. What did you take away from having to play a game wearing a mask and having to socially distance on campus and I kind of want to split this up into a couple different things because there's the on the campus off. Well, there's the in the basketball world and then out of it. So in the basketball world,
wearing a mask, being socially distanced. Like you said, you guys had start and stops. What did you take away from all of that? Like, what challenged you? What did you think about all of it? You know, the just the reality of, like, you're a team, but you're, like, together, but you're not together because you have to do things differently. I mean, what did you take away from all of that, and what challenged you the most during, like, the basketball side of it, so to speak?
I think the biggest thing, and anyone can attest to this, is basketball is what we want to do, and basketball is exactly where a lot of us find our happiness. So just being in a stoppage for so long and so many times, and just having nothing but sitting in a room and just, you know what I mean, like just being kind of locked up, so to speak, is just something that it takes a toll on. I think it takes a toll after a while, and I think everyone can kind of agree it's just exhausting at some point. That you just want to get out there and play. You want things to return back to normal because it's almost frustrating. And granted, it is for a great reason, and it's completely understandable. But it gets to the point where it's just frustrating that, you know, you work hard to get sat down for 10 days, and you got to come back out and regain everything, and the process happens again, and it takes a lot. It's a big toll mentally in terms of just preparing for that kind of stuff. And there's so many restless nights going in when you get a COVID test, thinking, just hoping that result doesn't come back negative, and it's just it was mentally trying as much as it was physically this year for a lot of us. And I think that if that sums up as much as it can, I mean, it does. You know, like it was definitely it was a hard year.
How did you get through it mentally? I mean, you and I have talked about how when you're playing a sport, you know, your mental health is paramount. You know, you can study the opponent, you could get in the weight room, you can run, you can jump, you can know all the plays, but at the end of the day, if you're not mentally tough, you're not going anywhere. So you know that already. Give me that extra level where, like, you had to be mentally tough, like you said. I mean, physically tough, mentally tough, but to go through the pandemic and all the uniqueness of that, how do you think you did mentally, and how did you make yourself tougher mentally than you already are?
And like I said to you before, I mean, I think this is the fourth quarantine that, I mean, by the time the last one happened, I think that was the fourth quarantine that I've had in the last year. So it becomes to the point, like I said, it's anything else. You just gotta understand that what is happening for a reason, and that it makes sense, and it's the right thing to do. It's the safe thing to do, and as annoying as it can be, it's just, you gotta understand that it goes to show, like, again, it's frustrating because you got to sit those 10 days or however long your quarantine is, come back out, practice hard, get tested, hope that you don't have it, you know, suit up, go practice, get tested again, go to sleep, hope you don't have it. So it was just a continuous process, and it just, you know, if you want to get something done, you know, sometimes you got to face some things that you're not always accustomed to, and COVID was definitely something I don't think anyone was really prepared for. So just kind of seeing adversity or seeing that bump in the road, it doesn't always mean that, you know, it's a bad thing. You know, you learn from it.
Speaking here with Luke Sutherland, coming from West Genesee, moving on to Siena Bryant, and now coming to the Moyne College Dolphins. Off the court, Luke, you're a kid. You're supposed to experience college. What was the college experience like during a pandemic? Because student athletes weren't really, from everything that I've gathered, you weren't really able to have a life. You saw your teammates, you did your schoolwork, you went to bed, you saw your teammates, you did your schoolwork, you went to bed. You know, they were asking you to not go out to parties, to not, you know, socialize with anybody outside of the bubble of the team, so to speak. So what was the college experience like this past season?
I mean, you said it yourself, you know, you wake up, you eat breakfast, you go to class, you go to practice, you go back to your room, you do your homework, you go back to the gym, you go to bed, and you repeat it. I mean, that was pretty much every day for, I want to say 4 months, 5 months, however long that season was. I mean, it's every single day was exactly the same, and especially during winter break, we would go to practice, we'd finish up, and be like, what day even is it? You know what I mean? Because we didn't even know, because every day was so identical to each one. But like I said, it goes into just doing the right thing, and all of us were committed in doing that, and we understood what was on the line if certain things happened, and we all knew what was for granted, and we wanted to make sure that we made the most of it. It was a season that we did something pretty special. It was the best season in our school's history this past year, so I mean, we definitely took it to our advantage and just focused on the things we had to, and we controlled what we can control.
And controlling what you can control, I've heard that for a long time. The first time I ever heard it was with Scott Schaefer, who was the head coach of Syracuse's football team a few years back, right before Dino, and he always said, control the controllables. And he said it at a time where I really needed to hear it, and now I live it more than just hearing it. Is it hard for you to control the controllables? Does it aggravate you that so much this year was out of your... I mean, you've experienced so many things, from a coaching change that was out of your control to, thinking, okay, well, I need to find a better fit for me, which, made some things feel like they were out of your control. Wanting to play this season and respecting the staff and the team and whatnot, but trying to find a place that fits and trying to do everything you could, but you can't control your playing time outside of doing everything that you possibly can, so that's out of your control. The pandemic's out of your control. So how do you deal with controlling the controllables? Do you think you're good at it? And how do you deal with things you can't control?
I mean, luckily, I grew up kind of with at least two parents that always told me that there's always two things you can control, and that's your attitude and your effort. So, I mean, that's kind of been something I've always lived by. And regardless of this journey that I'm taking, although it's the less traveled route of the two for me, especially going on to my third school, but a lot of people don't understand what goes into these things. You know what I mean? What goes into these decisions? A lot of these people are so quick to jump to conclusions, and it's just understand. For me personally, I mean, all that outside noise, I just tune out. And like you said, I mean, you got to control the controllable. Like I can give you a good work ethic, and I can have a good attitude about it, and I think I've done a good job of that in my life, and just regardless of what's going on, whether it be the first situation, this last situation. I mean, the only thing that I can see, that's in the past now. It's behind you. And luckily, the past is a history lesson, and I can go forward. And I'm blessed to have a new start at Moyne. And like I said, I talked to Coach Champion. I can't wait for this opportunity. And I'm super excited to get on the floor. But, I mean, it's just important that, like I said, your work ethic and attitude, I think that's the two biggest things through everything.
So you have that. And I love that your parents said it to you. Two things you can control, your work ethic and your attitude. I mean, that is so huge, because they're both you. And that's all. That's all you can control. And, Luke, I'm 35 years old, and I look at my life, and it took me a long time to realize, no matter how much you try to control things from happening, try to make good things happen, you can only control yourself. So, having that instilled with, in your life by your parents, how important has that been to you, and you maybe just not sweating the small stuff so much?
They've been my rock through it all. You know what I mean? And regardless of what goes on, I know that, like I said, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. And regardless of the journey, and regardless of the path, or regardless of what's going on, I think it's important to understand that, it's never too much. You know what I mean? You're not going to get stuff thrown at you that you can't overcome. And I think it's just important to remember that through it all, and especially having two people like my parents and even my brother and my sister supporting me through every decision I make. And it's just important having those people close to you, because you never know really what's going to happen, and just having that extra support definitely helps.
That coming here from Luke Sutherland on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal studio. So you choose Moyne. The Moyne College Dolphins, you played D1 ball, you now come to D2. I want people to know this before you say anything, because this is just me in today's world of people thinking that they know everything about other people's lives. You're not going from D1 to D2 because you're not talented. So, that's the thing that I feel like before I ask you any question about coming to Moyne, I want to make clear. Secondly, I respect Nate Champion, and I respect all of Moyne College Dolphins athletics. Thirdly, I respect the Northeast 10. Fourthly, I think they're getting one hell of a player. So, with that being stated, please tell me why you chose Moyne.
I was ready, with everything going on and having conversations with Coach Champion, and, I was ready to come to a program that, values, a lot of the same stuff that I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go to a program where I can help make a big impact and in the future win a lot of games. And I think that's exactly what Coach Champion's program embodies. And I'm just excited to have that fresh start and be able to go compete under him and learn from him and just, take that next step and hopefully do something special there.
What made Lemoyne like the right place of all the places you go? Because you had other D1 opportunities, and you had other people calling besides Lemoyne. So, what made Lemoyne fit for you better than anybody else in this process?
What's not to like? It's a prominent program. It's a program that has a lot of success in the past, and on top of that, it's a program home. I think that I was ready for a place that I could come home and have a big impact on the floor, and I think Lemoyne has both of those things.
And bring me into, you talked about Nate Champion a little bit. What do you like about him as a coach? To get more specifically into Nate Champion, what really does it for you that you feel like he's going to be the right coach to get the most out of you?
Similar to Coach Grasso at Bryan. He's one of those guys that, he values development and he values improvement. And it's just one of those things that, it's rare to come by. I've got to see a lot of programs. I've got to talk to a lot of coaches. And it's rare to have a coach that really values improvement as much as these guys do. So especially Coach Champion, like everything that I've talked to him about, and we've had a lot of conversations since entering, and he just seems like a guy that's really going to take my game to the next level, and I really think that he's going to turn me into a player that is far beyond what I even thought I could become. So, I'm really excited to be able to learn from him and move on from there.
You're back home. Lemoyne is right here. Are you what are you looking forward to about were you okay to come back home? I know you never really went that far, but did that have a big play in it? That I know you said like what's not to like about Lemoyne, but did you just feel like, for these next 3 seasons that you had, that you wanted to be in Central New York?
I think after this past year, just with everything, it was definitely a place I was looking for. I think after even the COVID stuff and just all these situations, I think it was time to just kind of return closer to home and be able to, and at that point, do it under a great program and a great coach. And I'm lucky and blessed enough to have every bit of one of those situations at Lemoyne. It's in my backyard. I get to play for one of the best coaches, and on top of that, attempt to do something special and something that this school hasn't done in a long time.
And you're back here. And the last time you were in Central New York, you did this thing called win a state championship. So I would venture to say that you didn't come back here without the notion that hardware is definitely capable to being had at Lemoyne.
Absolutely. They didn't play this past season, but the year before that, they won the league. This is a team that knows what winning's about, and a coach that knows what winning's about, and it's just a program that I've been talking to Coach Champion. I want to try. I want to compete for that Final Four. I want to compete for that national championship. That's just something that I'm always driven to work for. And like you said, it's the hardware. Once you get one, you get addicted to it. So it's definitely something that I think about almost every day. And one of the reasons why I'm working so hard is I just, I want to be one of the pieces to why this team's so successful. And I'm working hard every day to make sure that happens.
Your parents, your brother, your sister, their thoughts on you coming back home? Were they like, hey, don't feel like you have to? Or were they like, oh, was mom like crying like, oh my God, my baby's home? Like what was the reaction immediately by your family when you said, hey, I think I gotta come back home?
My parents obviously were really excited, and like I said, it makes it very easy for them to get up and catch games. It makes it easy for my friends and family to catch games, and it makes the situation that much more better.
And I definitely think that, if people haven't gotten their butts out to Lemoyne College to see a game, I have seen plenty. I've seen the evolution of Ted Grant Court, which has been remarkable and really awesome. And so, my hopes is obviously fans can be in the stands and whatnot, but there's just something incredible about Lemoyne College and watching, sports there, and the men's and women's basketball teams I've gotten to see over the years so much. I think this is incredible, Luke, that you get to play at Ted Grant Court, because it really has evolved. It really, you could see that the school puts money into their facilities. It's just, it's a beautiful thing. And I can't understate it enough. If nobody's ever been out to Lemoyne, I think they definitely should go.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a place that, I mean, it's my mom's alma mater too. So my mom played soccer there, funny enough. But like you said, I mean, it's a place that, I went to games throughout high school, so I know what the atmosphere is there is like, and I know the potential that's there. And like I said, it's a program that wins, and I think that's super important. It's a program that knows what winning's about, and a program that really wants to expand off of the success they already had, and I think that's super important as well.
Playing 2 seasons, transferring, getting a waiver, having Corona give you a free year, of everything you've been through, I have this belief that God always looks out. He always provides, he always helps, he's always there. You played 2 seasons, yet you have almost an entire career to give to Lemoyne with 3 years coming up. What does that mean to you that somehow, some way, it all worked out?
Oh, God. Like I said, I mean, it's definitely the path less traveled, and I've said that, and my journey is not the same as other people's, and it won't be the same, and it's unique to me. And like I said, like you said, I mean, I have 3 years to give to Coach Champion in Lemoyne, and that's something that me and him talked about. Like I have a lot of goals for those 3 years. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish with this team and with this program, and I'm just really blessed to have an opportunity to have the time that I do there. And like I said, I want to do something special on there, and I have 3 years to get better and improve at it and try to accomplish those goals. So it's a blessing. And
you have time to be face to face with Fred Kent and ask him where my ring is still. So, what does Coach Kent and the team think about you being around? I mean, I know that there's so many people that so many players on that team that you won a championship with that are looking to play and have played in the community or will be playing in the community that aren't that far away. What has the conversation been like with Coach Kent, if you've talked to him, and with your former teammates that you won a championship with and teammates in general? What do they think about you coming home?
I mean, I talked to Coach Kent quite a bit, and like I said, me and him have a really special relationship, and I think even with talking to him, I mean, he's super ecstatic that I'm coming back, and I'm just excited that he's going to be able to watch one of my games at the next level, and it in a sense, he came full circle, and I think that's awesome. And in terms of the teammates, I mean, they're all excited, and the guys that are in the area, I mean, it's exciting to be back, and just, again, to be able to play in front of friends and family, it's definitely something that I'll be looking forward to.
Yeah, and it gives me an excuse to come out and see even more games at Lemoyne. So I'm excited. Also, my dad's alma mater. So Luke Sutherland here with us. Before I let you go, Luke, you know what it's about. Rapid fire. I'm not putting you on the hot seat. I'm going to allow you to put me on the hot seat. So I'm going to give you a break, but you can ask me any 4 questions in the world, inside or outside of basketball or sports. We've known each other for a long time. I consider you such an important part of my life. Consider you family. And, you know that you mean a lot. You've said a lot of things to me on and off the air that I'll take with me everywhere I go, which is why my butt will be in a seat at Lemoyne. So tell your family, because, I mean, hopefully we won't have to do the 2 per person, because if we do, then, it's going to have to be Mom and I, Dad and I. We're going to have to trade off here and do, I don't know if I got to buy him pizza, whatever I got to do, but we're going to have to figure it out. But looking forward to being up at Lemoyne to see you play. But you got 4 questions to ask me in rapid fire. Luke Sutherland here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Fire away, my friend.
All right, first question is, what is the best fast food restaurant?
Chick-fil-A. Why are you asking me easy questions? Go ahead.
Chick-fil-A, I don't know. Now that I'm in a spot that has it all the time, I don't know if that would be my number 1 now.
Listen, Chick-fil-A is fantastic. There's some places that you won't find everywhere in the community, but in our community, Chick-fil-A Cicero, now they're going to be a Chick-fil-A Clay. So, I'm there's 2 now. I wanted 1. Now there's 2. I get to work with them, which is fantastic. And contrary to public belief, I do not have my own peppermint chip milkshake maker in my studio, but I wish I did. I really do. What's your second one?
it's tough. Is LeBron James the greatest basketball player ever to walk this earth?
No. It's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan. And it's Michael Jordan. I respect LeBron James. He is a freak athlete. He is a, just giant, muscular, agile gazelle of a player. But he's not Air Jordan. He doesn't fly like Michael. And Michael did more with less. And Michael also played in an NBA that had like half the league was good. So that's not saying the players now aren't good, but I'm talking about teams. There was all-stars everywhere. And Michael didn't buy any of them. Like, he did not buy he didn't buy Patrick Ewing and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and so on, and Joe Dumars and so on, and Grant Hill, Reggie Miller. It wasn't like I can't beat them, so I'll just buy them. He didn't do that. He won championships playing against Karl Malone and John Stockton and Sean Kemp and Gary Payton and so on and so forth. So it's Michael Jordan forever and a day until somebody changes my mind.
We're going to have a conversation about that another time. I just want you to know that.
Well, fine. I welcome that conversation. We will go get coffee, and I'm okay with it. Because I know as soon as you asked it, and I could hear your under-the-breath remark to me, please remember, older brother, younger brother, and I've had more experience than you. So I will have this conversation with you until the cows come home, and I can't wait to have it, but you're wrong, and I love you for that.
All right. We will talk about it.
We will. It's fine. I'm ready. What's your third one?
Who is winning the Super Bowl in this upcoming NFL season?
Probably Bill Belichick, because hell hath no fury like a Bill Belichick scorned. He's so mad. It's like the most dangerous that maybe he's ever been, because he had Tom Brady, which was very dangerous, but now he's pissed and he's spending a lot of money and he's putting a team, he's putting a squad together. So I'm very concerned about the Patriots, but I would tell you, as long as Tom Brady is in Tampa, they're lethal. I think that he's got a good chance of doing it on the NFC side. If I had to pick a team on the AFC, I would tell you that I want to say Buffalo can go far.
Thank you. That's perfect.
I
That's
do.
all I wanted to hear.
I do want to say Buffalo can go far. I don't think Kansas City's going back to the Super Bowl this year. I don't. And they're so talented, but they were missing something last year, and I just feel like they're going to be a little farther away this year, unfortunately for them. So, I think it's kind of an open season out there in the AFC, but as long as Tom Brady's playing football, yeah, it's just dangerous. And so I think Tampa's got a good shot, but I think Buffalo, with everything they have and everything they brought in, they should at least they should make the AFC Championship game.
I love that answer.
And if I'm right, you better hold me to this moment.
And 100%.
Right. And if I'm wrong, then we'll just talk about the Jordan conversation more. So, but what's your last question for me?
Who was your favorite high school team you've ever worked with in this area?
Why do you do this to me?
This is why I'm here.
So, this is not a political answer, and hear me out before you get upset. I have loved every experience, be it West Genny or CNS or Liverpool or ESM or CBA or anybody I've talked to. Literally anybody I've talked to. Even individually, if I haven't done an event, like when I've talked to Bishop Grimes and Utica Proctor and so on and so forth in Mexico. So and if I left anybody out, it wasn't on purpose, folks. I love y'all. I care about y'all. So I can tell you that everybody has mattered to me. But and I know, and you've asked me this question before, and I feel like you're just checking in to make sure. It's like getting a checkup every year by the doctor. Like you walk in and they're like, hey, did you do everything you're supposed to do? You know that I said this before, that there's no moment that has ever surpassed what it was like to be on the court with you guys. I want to cry right now talking about it. I mean, I was with you, I was with Cam and Will and Christian and gosh darn, and Duds and just like everybody. And I had and Fred Kent, I had a moment with everyone. That was the thing. I had a moment with each of you guys.
and John, I mean, like, I got to literally celebrate it, but I didn't feel like a broadcaster that covered the team. I honestly felt like I celebrated it as part of the team. And then Fred told me this is just as much your championship as anybody else's because you've been with us from the beginning. You have literally been with this team the entire time. So, we built our relationship through this. So I can tell you that I love every school and I support every school, and I want so badly for Central and Upstate New York student athletes and just people in general of any age and any background and religion and everything. Like, I want us all to succeed because this is my community and I love this community, and so many people are not given the spotlight they deserve in the community, and I find it very vital for me to do everything I can to change that, and I'm trying to, and I have tried to. And with all of that being said, that I love that moment. And if you don't know this, Luke, that is one of the greatest moments of my life. Like, sports-wise, that is one of the most incredible moments of my life. And if I go to the Super Bowl and the Jaguars win it someday, your moment will still be one of my favorite moments ever in my life. So there's nothing that can change you and I on the court together, taking a picture with your arm around me, talking about how it was just, and the stuff you said to me, you said you were with us from the beginning. You guys gave me so much credit I didn't think I deserved. And still to this day, I don't think I deserve it. So I don't know how you can ever top that moment. I guess Moyne wins a championship with you, and then we talk about that one. But, one of the greatest moments of my life on or off of the sports world was then, because I genuinely have a relationship with so many of you on the team, and I care about you all as people, and to be able to be there was one of the proudest moments of my life.
I appreciate that.
Got me all emotional in my studio. So, with that being said, I'm off the hot seat. No more. We'll cry off the air, and it'll be you crying when you know that LeBron's not the best. But,
Oh my God, here we go.
but with that being said, Luke Sutherland, the exclusive first interview since joining the Moyne College Dolphins. Luke, thank you for letting me be a part of this. Thank you, as always, for everything. And you know that I appreciate you like a little brother. So there is nothing I want. I want nothing but success in your life, and on and off the court. I hope for it. And I am so honestly surprised in a very happy way that I get to see you right here in our community, and I get to be able to connect with you a lot more often face to face. So I'm happy you're home. I would have supported you anywhere you went, and as always, I want nothing but the best for you.
I appreciate that, and thank you very much for having me.
That coming once again from the man, Luke Sutherland, in his exclusive first interview since joining the Moyne College Dolphins, and in general, just always great to have him on the air and be here with him. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back with our final portion of today's broadcast and every Tuesday broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which are the ingredients to success. Proudly brought to you by Avicolli's, right here where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you. Also on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. All of it is inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, which is also Cafe Kubal Co-works, where you can rent out space for your business and have a place to go for your business, as well as record your podcasts and have them edited and all of that in their studio. And, of course, their location also in Syracuse on 401 South Salina Street and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. Head out to Cafe Kubal today and make sure that you support local all throughout the community. We're at the final portion of today's show, which is the Ingredients to Success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. You can order online by going to myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. You can also order by calling 315-622-5100. And, of course, you can go to the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York to see them there as well. So with all of that being said, today's topic comes from somebody special. And that topic for today, for the Ingredients to Success, is patience. I feel like this is one of those words people forget how to spell. But patience. 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 The ingredients to success for patience. Well, we live in an impatient world. And it's becoming ever more impatient. And you would think that in this last year of Corona, we would learn how to be more patient because we had to be patient. Some people did. Some people already knew it. Some people, it's like they have no idea what this last year was supposed to do. Everything negative can have a positive outcome. They're all meant to teach us something. And today's ingredients to success are patience. It's about patience. The topic is patience. Because you need it. Patience. Anything good in life, patience. If you planted a seed today for an apple tree and expect there to be apples outside tomorrow, you're insane. But you also are in a group of a lot of people. So, that think, hey, if I plant this tree tomorrow in the backyard, I'm going to have 15 apples. I'm going to make apple pie. You know, you probably go to somebody and you tell them, be like, hey, I'm going to make apple pie tomorrow. Oh, yeah, you going to the store? No. Got an apple tree. Oh, wow. How are the apples looking? I don't know. I just planted it 3 minutes ago. When you plant a seed, you have to water it. It has to have proper sunlight. It has to take time to grow. Sometimes things bud overnight. But it's a process of growth. And patience is a strongly needed thing in life. Strongly needed tool in your tool shed. Superpower. Patience is a superpower. Because it's hard. It's hard to have patience when you're a player and you want to be drafted. It's hard to be patient when you want to play. It's hard to be patient when you find something important to you, as I have, and you have to wait on it. Patience is one of the most difficult things to have in this world. So what are the ingredients to success? Prayer. That works for me with everything. So prayer is important with patience. Reading a book. You know, expanding your vocabulary, which you get from reading, or it causes you to think about something else, to dive into a story. If you watch all the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits movies, that'll give you patience, because, you know, by the time they're done, you'll be 47, and if you start at 18 years old. So, patience is a virtue. And, you know, we hear that all the time in our lives, right? We hear patience is a virtue. But what does it mean to be a virtue? Well, the definition of virtue is a moral excellence, a goodness, or righteousness. Conformity of one's life and conduct to moral and ethical principles. Uprightness, rectitude. A good or admirable quality or property. Effective force, power, or potency. A virtue. It's a moral excellence. I think it's cool that they're not saying it's like it's a moral value. They're saying it's a moral excellence. You know? To call it that. You know, that virtue isn't just a moral good thing. But that it's righteousness, it's goodness, it's a moral excellence. A virtue. And I wanted to give you that because you always hear people say patience is a virtue. Well, patience is the quality of being patient, as the bearing of provocation, annoyance, misfortune, or pain without complaint, loss of temper, irritation, or the like. An ability or willingness to suppress restlessness or annoyance when confronted with delay. Quiet, steady perseverance. Even-tempered care. Diligence. What a definition. Patience. Have you ever read that? I've never read the definition of patience. I'm reading it right now. The quality of being patient as the bearing of provocation, annoyance, misfortune, or pain without complaint, loss of temper, irritation, or the like. An ability or willingness to suppress restlessness. An ability or willingness to suppress restlessness or annoyance when confronted with delay. Quiet, steady perseverance. Even-tempered care. Diligence. How cool. Quiet, steady perseverance. So how do you achieve that? Practice. You achieve it when your little kid is tying their shoe and taking a long time. You achieve that when somebody's going to the bathroom in a public place and they have to go to the bathroom and you're sitting at the table by yourself. You achieve that when you're waiting in line at Disney for a ride. You achieve that when you're waiting in line to get your vaccination, for those that are getting it, you know? It's little things you can work on. Patience. If you miss your first 10 shots when you go out and shoot today on the court. Patience. It can happen in everyday life. Patience when you're driving. So many people don't have patience. Patience when you're driving. Here's a way you can learn patience every day. When you're driving. When you're standing at the supermarket in the checkout aisle. When you're ordering food. When you're waiting for the food to arrive. When you're waiting for a call back. When you're waiting for an email back. Patience. It's an everyday place where you can find patience. So how do you achieve it, right? What are the ingredients to success? That's the topic. So you want to know, all right, Dan, you've said patience, but how do we do it? You practice, like I said. You practice daily. Patience when you go to the gas station and no pump is open. Deep breaths. Read a book. Catch up with a friend. Send a text message in place when you're not driving if you're sitting there waiting for something to open. Patience. In traffic, practice calming down. Talking yourself through it. Saying this person might be in a rush for something really important. They might have just gotten horrible news or great news. And they're trying to get there as fast as they can, and maybe they're not paying attention, so you have to pay attention. You always have to pay attention, but maybe today you got to pay a little bit more because they're not. You're not responsible for their life. I'm not saying control them, but I'm saying maybe they're having a bad day. Patience. When you practice a song lyric and it just doesn't sound right when you record it. Take a deep breath. Pray. Walk away. Walk in general. Read a book. Take a nap. Look up something you don't know. You know what I find when I'm most agitated with having to be patient and I want something to happen and I'm getting worked up about it? You know what I think works? Walking for me, definitely. But I also think learning a new thing. Reading a new book. Achieving things, right? When you have time on your hands and you have to be patient about something, there's a million things I can do. I want to redecorate the studio. I want to clean up a bunch of stuff in my home that I haven't cleaned up since I moved in. I want to go through the last of my stuff to have a yard sale. I want to find the video game that I can't find from the time that I bought it and brought it into my new home. I want to clean up my office desk. And I want to plug in stuff there. And I want to really utilize it because I've had it forever and it still has like the tape and stuff on it. I want to put some more movie posters on the wall in my theater room. I want to clean out my refrigerator. I want to redesign my superpowered pop stuff. I want to figure out what clothes I'm going to give to Goodwill. Patience. Do the things you never have time for. When you're sitting and you're waiting and your mind is just driving you nuts and it's making your stomach upset and it's making you hyperventilate, the way that you find patience is do something good. Pray, breathe, and do something good. I have bought a ton of books and people have bought a ton of books for me and I've read none of them. Read the book. Clean up your studio. Clean up your office. Get your clothes ready. Clean out the garage. Spray the bee's nest. Take Lily for a walk. Pray again. Watch a movie. Watch a TV show you've been meaning to do. Because this time that God has given you is not to be wasted. When God asks you to be patient, when you ask yourself to be patient, when you're trying to be patient, that time period in between. We're always thinking about, when it's over, I want this. When it's over, I want this. When it's over, I want this. But what about right now? How can you use a patient time period to succeed, to build your craft? I feel like in this patience that I've been asked to have, that I've been given this time that I didn't have before. What am I going to do with it? Patience. I'm going to read those books I haven't read. I'm going to send my book back to my pen pal that she sent me years ago. I'm going to clean up my office and my studio. I'm going to redesign some things. I'm going to make some things I've been meaning to make. I'm going to make some purchases that I've been meaning to purchase, to upgrade some things or bring in some new stuff. I have the time. Patience, sitting and staring at the wall, will drive you crazy and you won't have it. If you spend your time waiting, it's going to drive you nuts. But when you're think about that. When you're in a waiting room, why are there books? If you're in the waiting room, why are there games? If you're in the waiting room, why is there television? To take your mind off of waiting and to help you to be patient. Think about what they call you when you go to a doctor's office. A patient. And when you go to a doctor's office, what do you always have to have? Patience. Think about that. In the waiting room of life, you are called a patient. But how many of us are actually patient? Spelled exactly the same way. So with the time that God has given you, use it towards something positive and good. And then all of a sudden, having to be patient turns into being productive. And in being productive, before you know it, your patience will pay off, and that thing you've been waiting for will hopefully be right at your doorstep. That being said, that is your ingredients to success for today. Proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Call them at 315-622-5100 to order today for catering, takeout, and delivery, as well as going to myavicollis.com to order online. And of course, you can go to see them at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, 7 days a week, open on the pizza side as well as the fine dining side. Their outdoor dining, now that the weather's getting nicer, will be there for you, and they have a full bar inside as well. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora today and every week is proud to join you from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, our regularly scheduled broadcast time, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, on wakeupcalldt.com, facebook.com/livenowdt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt as well, simultaneously on all of those channels. And after that, they go to Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, MixLR, and like I said before, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. A proud thanks to all of our partners that helped to make this such a beautiful journey. Central and Upstate New York, thanks Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicolli's, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Use the promo code DT20 at maandpazpopcorn.com for in-store pickup as well as delivery. They will deliver to any one of the 50 states, and they will also be there for you on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool. But if you go through maandpazpopcorn.com for in-store pickup or delivery, whether you're having it sent to any one of the 50 states or you're picking it up on location at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, you can use my promo code to get 20% off all online orders for in-store pickup as well as delivery. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com and use the promo code DT20. That's DT20. I appreciate you. I thank you so very much. And I send my love to all my partners, to everybody that's ever been on the show, to everyone everywhere that's listening and watching, and to everybody that hasn't yet. I welcome you in, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Corey Taylor II, Luke Sutherland, and Avicolli's for bringing us the ingredients to success. This has been another edition of Wake Up Call inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And as always, I bid you adieu with letting you know that you could find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And more than anything else, God bless, no stress, do your best.